time, less all the technical issues and whatever else we have faced this evening. So, to the folks out there that are joining us once again, thanks for coming back and taking an interest. We do appreciate
I hope that worked.
it.
I don't know.
So for the first time, I'm signaling to everybody for a good clap out in the virtual audience. So again, guys, thanks so much. I'm going to turn around. Our fourth person in the studio this evening is Mom. Mom, does it sound like we got audio back there coming through? All right, cool. We're good then. We're good. We're gonna say that everything sounds a-okay, happy, hunky dory, and if it doesn't, par for the course this evening. Because listen, there's just. I love how this show has come together. The cameras. It wasn't just the cameras that stopped working. My glasses broke, and then Beth, you want to tell us about how you nearly injured yourself?
Oh yeah,
before?
so fun stuff. This gig has been scheduled for a while now, and this week I decided to be dumb, but I was helping my dad, so I guess that makes it better. We built a raised garden in our backyard, and we had a pile of dirt, like huge pile, taller than me, delivered to our driveway, and our garden is all the way in our backyard. And for those of you who have been to our house, it's a ways. And so we're shoveling dirt into buckets, and we did this for 3 hours for 2 days straight. And 3 hours each day for 2 days straight, just to clear that up. But the last day, right after we got done shoveling, I decided to practice for competition for 2 hours. And so the next day I wake up and I can barely move my arm. And the other day I went to the doctor and got an x-ray, and they're like, oh yeah, so basically you shouldn't be playing right now. And I was like, but I have a gig. And they're like, get through that and then you're done. I'm like, oh God. So yeah, my hand is on fire right now.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you toughing it through a handful of songs, and as we were talking earlier, like a star quarterback or, team leading pitcher, I hope that doesn't cause too much of a setback.
Oh
there.
yeah, no. I love to play, so.
Well, we had Dakota here to do backup for us this evening, so that was nice. Now, Dakota, how did you guys get linked up, like you and Beth, to begin with? I mean,
well, that goes a while back. About 10 years ago at this point, started attending the Howlin' at the Moon open mic at the Yellow Moon Cafe in Cobden. And I think I'd been going not too long, maybe a year or two, before the smallest little 3-year-old with the tiniest fiddle you've ever seen came in one night.
Weren't you like my age? Like around my age?
Yeah, I started when I was 16. So just this tiny little person came in.
who's the tiny person now, Dakota?
Not me.
No, just being 16. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, so she came in, and I think she played with Will Maring that first time. There's a video of it out there somewhere.
Oh,
it's adorable.
it's awful.
You should look it up.
It's awful.
She's so small. It's hilarious. But so I've known Beth for quite a while. A lot of words to just say that. But then when she started playing farmers markets and several things like that, and we started playing together, and now we've done all kinds of stuff. We've played a week at Dollywood.
Yeah.
We've played Wood Songs, I think 4 times now.
Yeah.
With some of my musical heroes also being on.
Yeah,
on
that was
show.
crazy.
It's been incredible. And so yeah, just try to play as much as we can.
So is Wood Songs the biggest gig that you guys have had thus far? That's the show that's recently replaced Celtic Connections on WSIU, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, maybe the show that we were on was the first one at SIU, because he announced it right before we played.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah.
And then he's like, oh, you're from Carbondale.
We are. Yeah, we are.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, we've done a lot of local gigs. But really, Dollywood and Wood Songs is the only thing that we've done major.
Couple things at the Varsity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, we're not Dollywood. I appreciate it. The sentiment is kind, but own the Dollywood. Well, you deserve it.
They didn't even give us mics at Dollywood.
No.
So we were shoved over in a corner in Dollywood. No big deal.
We were what did they roving ramblers? Something
to
weird
that
like that.
effect, yeah.
But it was a week full of music, and they had a bunch of different people placed around the park randomly, and they're like, so yeah, basically you're gonna play all day for like what, 8 hours?
It was 3 hours of playing spread across 6 hours.
Oh
which
yeah,
in a
which
theme
was
park was kind of miserable.
yeah, because you move around. We weren't in the same spot, so they're like, oh, you have a half an hour to get to this other place. That includes meals and bathroom breaks, but you start here and you have to go all the way over there, and you don't have time to go.
And they
do
won't let you
anything.
on the roller coasters with the guitar case
No.
either, which I was disappointed with.
I'm okay with that. I don't like roller coasters.
You'll learn.
Is that a dynamic that you guys have? Like, is he always playing Big Brother? Like, you'll get this. It'll come along, Beth. Just hang out. Like, has he taught you to drive stick shift in the SIU arena parking lot? Like,
No.
No, I think I try to keep her a little less professional than
Oh
she
my
wants to
gosh.
be. My whole goal most of the time is just to make her laugh.
good.
It works
Sometimes.
sometimes. Other times she just gets mad at me because I'm not playing the song
I'm
right.
trying to be in
so-
the zone right now. Leave me alone. Hey, now this is completely outside of the zone. It's forget about the zone, whatever that was. Now you're on an interview with like a musical mentor and a
Oh my
comedian,
gosh.
and I'm just appreciative that you guys are the first set of musicians that I've had in weeks that haven't gotten up there and been like, haha, yeah, we're musicians. We want to be comedians too. It's like you guys just want to be musicians, and I appreciate the both of you for that.
Honestly, I am not funny. Like, all my friends say, oh, you are really funny, but I don't even try. I'm not funny.
Oh,
I'm
so
just-
now you're just a natural. I see how it is.
I'm not
Here I was
funny at all.
basking you with praise about having to come in and just being a musician's musician, and nope,
No.
gotta have another one taking that comedy world away from us now. So have you always been a musician, Beth? I mean, were you kind of like born with a fiddle in your hand, or how did
I really don't remember life without music, honestly. Like Dakota said, I started when I was 3, but my parents always said that when they put me in the crib, they'd turn on music and I'd like bang my head and like do all this weird sort of stuff and dance. And they thought I was gonna get into rock, and Mom was really scared about that. Actually, she's like, I really don't want her playing like hard rock and like banging her to head everywhere. So she's like, Melissa Triplett, can you please get this kid on piano so she doesn't like freak out on me? So I started on piano at 3, and then Emily Pitney, Melissa's sister, introduced me to fiddle, and I did a couple lessons with her, and then I switched to Suzuki, and then a whole bunch of other stuff after that. But yeah, I don't really remember life without music. It's always been a part of my life, and I've grown up. Mark Stoffel, another amazing, talented local musician, he hosts jams at his farm occasionally, and so I just remember growing up there, and he was really adamant about when I was there, he'd put my hand on the bass and he'd let me feel the rhythm, and it was a really good experience. This town has great musicians that I've gotten to grow up with. So yeah.
And I imagine that Dakota's probably the person closest to your age out of all the musicians that you do play with.
Some
Well,
high school friend.
yeah, I've got some Lucas Feather and the Underclassmen. I play with some of them a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I don't play with a whole lot of kids, which kind of sounds bad, but
I mean, you played fiddle like you're a 70-year-old mountain man coming down from the tall hills of Kentucky or something. I mean, you've got the talent of somebody that has been doing this for quite some time. Which arguably, I mean, at 16, you've still been doing this for quite some time. So even that's an accolade there. I mean, do you guys have an idea of the direction that you want to go with music, either together or separately, or? I mean, and this is kind of an open-ended question. I mean,
Dude, I don't
Dakota, I want you to answer just as much as
yeah, you
Beth,
answer.
'cause-
I don't want to do all the talking.
Because you're talking about somebody else that you play with quite often. Is that your significant other? That you-
Yeah, I play with my fiance Chandra Gillum. We have a duo called Them Two, and I'm actually mostly a mandolin player, and she plays guitar. But then with Beth, it makes more sense to play guitar. But yeah, we play around quite a bit.
Yeah, congrats on your engagement.
Oh yeah,
I forgot to
got
tell you
engaged.
that.
Oh, nice. So this is a relatively new thing.
Yeah.
It's been a few months.
How does a mandolin player propose? Was there something like music related in the proposal, or was it just kind of like, all right, we're gonna
no.
do this. Let's
Gosh,
go.
Dakota.
Well, she's been living in Memphis for a couple of years for
Has she been
grad school.
walking in Memphis? I'm sorry, I give up.
I mean, occasionally.
Sorry,
No, but
Internet.
she's been living in Memphis for a couple of years, so it was pretty low key. Not much of a story there. Sorry, Jandra.
It's okay.
But yeah, we're playing. I'm actually an attorney by day, so get kind of busy with that.
Good. Good.
Which is kind of funny though, because I feel like every time I text you when you're at work, you immediately respond.
Hey, you're not supposed to tell him that. Elvis, if you're listening, that's not true. Elvis Cameron, not Presley.
Jeez.
But since you're about to turn 16 and probably get your first job, that's not like a one-off gig. You'll get to learn real quick that you don't out your friends about texting
Right.
at work. So
I went
much
to a lot
fun.
of years of law school to get a text at work. So
You're like, I am tens of thousands of dollars in debt to be able to text
Exactly.
at work. Gosh darn. it.
Right.
So is there any sort of music school or anything that is music related, like education wise, in your future, Beth? I mean, is that something that you're looking at?
Yeah.
Or?
I'd love to. My main goal is right now is to go to Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. I want to major in music therapy. We actually, I think it was last year at some point, we did a benefit concert here at the varsity for Evie Hurst. And she was born with a condition called anophthalmia, something really fancy that I can't pronounce. But in other words, she was born without eyes. So she is blind. And I totally lost my train of
did a
thought.
benefit.
Yeah, we did a benefit for her. And it was really cool meeting her because I had not met her until she came down. I met her on the day of the show. And it was so inspiring because she's such a little ball of energy and she has so much, well, she likes to sing, which is like super cute. But it was a really cool experience being with her and like showing her the instruments because she'd never sang on stage before. And her mom's like, I don't think she'll sing into the mic because she doesn't like holding things and singing at the same time. She would not put that mic down. She threw a fit when we took it away from her. She's like, no, because she loves how it sounds because everything is sound for her. So it was the first time she'd heard anything in the monitors. So it was really cool seeing that and being there for that experience. And I just want to do that more, and I've been researching on music therapy a lot more, and I think that's what I want to do.
Good.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a really long answer.
No, the point of these things is like a deep dive, like long answer into like what makes you guys tick. You know, not often in between songs are you able to like bare your soul to folks, and even in 5 and 7 minute long interview segments, if you're on something like a Wood Songs, I don't know if they do interviews, right? But like a live
very
from here
short.
does a little bit of conversation activity. It's to say that it's really good entertainment, but it's good to just have something like this that will always live in video form where anybody and everybody can always see it forever and ever, even decades down the line.
No pressure.
Right. Watch me get into
you'll
college
be-
and go a completely
and you'll be
different
able to
route.
look back at this and be like, hey,
Maybe you'll be a lawyer one day.
My mom told me I should be the other day because I argue a lot at home. Not just to argue, but I don't know. I guess I do. According to Mom, I argue too much. So she's like, I need to be a lawyer, apparently.
You're allowed to be a teenager. It's totally okay. As I tell my kids, you can challenge me, but don't ignore me.
There you go. I'm going to be hearing that a lot now, I feel like.
No. You're welcome, Anna. You're welcome.
Look, she's always telling me, she's like, you're always so sweet on stage, but when you come home, you're a complete monster. So I
wanted
don't
a
know if
deep
that's
dive,
true or
Nick.
not.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Listen, I didn't train to be a psychologist, but by virtue of our conversation, here we go.
Yeah. So I don't know.
No, you do know. You know exactly what it is. And
My
mom
mom's
knows.
cracking up in the back.
And now
here.
we all know. And
Now
now
you all
those folks
know.
at home know. We've got, and as Dakota would say, what would you consider this evidence of some sort that?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, like I don't lawyer that hard, man. Back off.
I do deeds.
Oh.
Will.
the exciting stuff, right?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's good. That's good. What other instruments? So Dakota, you said you play mandolin.
Yep.
Beth, you play fiddle. Obviously, it's in your hand. What else do you guys play outside of what we see on stage or what we commonly see you with?
You go first.
Why don't you go first?
Oh, is this a competition about who plays more
longer.
instruments right now?
Well, recently I picked up clawhammer banjo. I guess it wasn't too recently. It's been like a year. I can't really play mandolin. People say I should be able to since it's the same as fiddle. I'm not really good with chords or anything on mando, so I don't really play mandolin, but I can pick out random notes on it. I play ukulele and guitar. I'd say that's about it. I did percussion for a while in my school band, but I don't really play all that much. Yep.
Dakota?
Acoustic guitar, mandolin.
Okay.
That's the main stuff. A little bit of everything else, but
Got a little saxophone in there, maybe some
No.
piano. Just
no, did drums all through school, and
Really?
then got bored. There's no tonality to drums, and I wanted to play melodies, so switched to mandolin, and picked up acoustic guitar just because it gave better opportunities than like wouldn't be able to play with Beth right now if I just played mandolin. So
That's true.
kind of expanded a little bit there. But
I mean, there's not a space for kind of a drum fiddle combo out there in the world.
probably somewhere, not quite in the Southern Illinois acoustic scene, probably.
I don't know. I've loved my friend Brigitte Borwitz.
Yeah.
She's really, really good at percussion,
Killer
and
drummer.
yeah, she's a killer drummer. And I've played a couple shows with her, and now that I actually really like drums in the background, and it's really weird for me not to play with drums now, because like when I asked her to do it the first time, I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna go because I've never done this before, but I actually really like how it sounds. It fills up more space and it keeps a good beat. So yeah.
Kind of like when Mike Arthur, one of the guys who does a lot of sound stuff around here, plays for Lone Howl, the band, and it's like being on a piano keeps those guys kind of like flowing through. It's like the way that instruments complement one another. And I talk about this stuff from a position of somebody who has exactly zero musical talent. So anytime I get to learn something like that, it's neat for me. I enjoy it. So, I'm just the relationships that you guys have developed playing down in Cobden at the Yellow Moon, the old feed store, just that scene as a whole. I mean, one of the reasons why we paired you with Kyle and Melissa and Luke is because of the relationships between them and the same venues that you guys have kind of come of age in as well. And I'm really, really good friends with Luke from high school, and obviously Kyle and Melissa have played here all the time. I mean, what about these spaces is so special? I mean, is it the people? Is it the place? Is it just the ability to be free with your musical talents? I mean, what?
I think it's really the community around it. Like, I have a lot of fond memories of the Yellow Moon Cafe, which is unfortunately closed now. But that's where I met my fiance Chandra. We played there. We saw each other there and played there for a lot of years before we even really talked to each other. But I was a pretty. This is going to sound odd. I was a pretty timid 16-year-old kid, as if I'm not a pretty timid 26-year-old kid. But, when I remember my dad forced me to go to the Yellow Moon and do the open mic night. Come on, you can do it. We bought you that expensive mandolin. You can at least go play it somewhere. And I'm so glad he did, because it's just created friendships that have lasted years and years and years now. All the Bukites and Ray Hogan and John Vitt and don't start naming names or you'll forget people, because it's just so many people we've met through that.
Yeah.
And I was the young kid that was pretty good for a while until Beth came along and was 10 years younger than me and was a lot better. But
No.
But you were better at 6 years old than your counterparts. That's good. That's good.
she
No,
was.
Take
She's
take
humble,
pride.
but she was.
When you have talents, you have talents. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, what have your experiences been like there? as well, Beth?
Yeah, I feel like for me, I mean, the Yellow Moon was my venue. That's like where I grew up. It's where I started. So I was really disappointed when they shut down. But it's definitely mostly the people, because the people are so welcoming and loving and supportive. I feel like if people weren't as supportive as they are, I definitely probably wouldn't be doing this, because it's when you aren't playing a whole lot, like during the winter seasons, it's really hard to like stay motivated to keep going. But people in the community are like really supportive, and they're like, yeah, you should keep going, keep playing, and we all jam together, and it's just a big family, really. Yeah.
No, again, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time this evening to come play. I've had an absolute blast per all of the wacky stuff that hasn't happened during other stuff that's decided to
my
happen
God.
this evening. I'm appreciative to everybody at home that's tuned in tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you enjoyed the interview. Now we've got a little something we can look back on in a couple decades and go, cool, we all got to be there with Beth. Isn't that pretty neat?
Or maybe not.
Hey, you know what? We think you're something cool. Don't
Oh
worry.
my
Don't
gosh,
worry.
thank you.
At almost 16 years old, if you don't think you're the coolest person in the room, then you've got the humility to go far in this business. So I think you got it. All right. Thanks so much, folks. Have a good night. Cheers.